So why is it? Well, this is the best way to test, you know, Zoom on my on the backup computer. Probably don't understand what the fuck I'm talking about, but yes, this backup computer came in to save the motherfucking day when my original computer kaputs. And as much as I kind of want to take it somewhere to see if it can be restored, I'm kind of thinking it's probably gone. And thank goodness for a backup. You feel me? So, Kai Storm in the building. Motherhood Sex Marijuana in the building. And that one voice in the building. What am I using this time to? I'm trying to see if I'm able to. You know what? I'm actually trying to see what it would sound like to make an audio of my book. You know, by posting this video on my channel, because I will be posting this video. Yes, I will. Yes, the fuck I will. Um, you know, probably could get you to buy this book. It'll be best to buy it from me directly and see what I sound like. And see if I can make my own audio book. I mean, who better than me? But you know what I'm saying. Anyway. This is a test. That one voice. Chapter 1. I could read the teaser, but I'm not going to read the teaser. Chapter 1. Jennifer's intro. June 7th, see, here I go. I started already with the fuck shit. Start again. Chapter 1. Jennifer's intro. June 7th, 2001, aka Brooklyn Queens Day. 9:30 in the morning on this hot and humid 94-degree day. Jacob Reed's speech is full of people already. Brooklyn Queens Day is an official day off for everyone who went to school in Brooklyn and Queens. Getting ready for my day, I told myself every minute of this day would be fun filled. Although my mom is allowing me to head out to the beach for the day, I didn't mention that the party in Bed-Stuy later on this evening. I already know she's not going to give me permission to go. If I had asked in advance, she would have screwed her face and said, Jennifer, even though tomorrow is Friday, it's still a school night and you're going to school tomorrow. So be glad I'm letting you go to the beach today. And that's my mama for real. Fuck that. This party was the main topic of the conversation for the past 2 weeks. Everybody, that is, anybody, is going to be there, and I refuse to let my mother and her controlling ways make me miss the hottest party of the year. Child, let me tell you something. When I was younger, there was plenty of parties I went to where I was literally just gonna said to myself, "Bitch, you just gonna have to take that beat down when you get home, cause you gonna have fun right now." Anyhow, I already been labeled as the corny girl because either my mother wouldn't let me go anywhere or I had to leave early if I was allowed to go. The first 3 years of high school, I missed all the good shit. So in my last year, I refused not to have fun. It didn't matter if she approved or not. I'm still going to the party. Okay. Jacob Reese Beach had the most gorgeous beach, the greatest waves, and all the sexiest men. Ciao. Anyhow, let me get back to reading. Arriving at the park closest to the beach, everyone has their boom boxes blasting. Yes, back in the day with boom boxes, motherfucker. As we walk towards the beach area, we hear songs blaring like Splash Waterfalls by Ludacris, Dirt Off Your Shoulder by Jay-Z, and Move Your Body by Nina Sky. Finding us a spot, Gwen unpacks the picnic basket and she prepared for us. We got some fried chicken, potato salad, fruit, and of course some wine coolers. Today we are on some sophisticated grown shit. I can't help but laugh, but my best friend is right, and I come prepared as well. Since I'm not going home till late, I have my outfit for the party in the bag. We had everything we need to have a good old time. Later on that evening after the party, shit, that party was the motherfucking bomb. I danced and wine with the cutest Jamaican men I had ever seen in Brooklyn. Best Star has it going on. Back in the day, child, let me tell you. Anyhow, 2 o'clock in the morning. 2 o'clock in the morning, child. 2 o'clock in the morning. I was sitting on the stoop of my building, smiling and thinking to myself, "Damn, I'm glad I went to that party. I had the best time, and I would have been mad as shit if I missed it." Yes, the corny girl was in the building, and everyone saw me ride that shit out to the end. You're probably wondering why I'm sitting on the stoop so late at night. Well, my mother put me out. I have no place to go. That sounded about right too. I arrived 30 minutes ago. I arrived 30 minutes ago, and of course, my mother went off for me. Well, how dare you come to my house at this time of the hour? I was nice enough to allow you to go to the beach, but you didn't even have the decency to come home afterwards, much less come home before curfew. Because curfew was probably 10 o'clock. Oh, curfew was 10:30 in this book. Yeah. Anyway, I know my curfew is 10:30. But I had so much fun. I wasn't thinking about no damn curfews. Tipsy from all the wine coolers I drank during the course of the day, I didn't give a fuck about her feelings or opinions. Now, child, that's very much me. This is my life, bitch, and I'm going to do what I want. I boldly said to my mother. Clearly, I was tipsy because I said, "This is my life, bitch. Wait a minute, bitch. Who you talking to?" After saying the words, I realized that I have never ever spoke to my mother like that, and I do mean never. I guess I was feeling myself for a minute, but then again, part of me was done living under her rules. I was tired of being controlled by her. I sat out there listening to the quiet rumble of the streets. I asked myself, what I plan on doing with this newfound freedom. While I was in there talking shit to my mother, I wasn't thinking about this. Okay? I talking shit, I wasn't thinking. Although I had a good time at the party, my mind was pretty blank at the moment. As I sat there and contemplated my situation, a sexy chocolate man on a motorcycle rolled up on the sidewalk in front of me. Not sure who he was. I saw he had on a black t shirt that said "The Condemned Few" in red letters. His helmet and tricked out Harley Davidson are all marked up with the same insignia. Insignia. Child, listen, right? Anyhow, um, looking at the man on the motorcycle, I thought I was in a dream, or maybe he was just a mirage. He took off his helmet and looked at me. His short Caesar cut complements his strong jawline, and his smile melts me in more ways than one. Completely lost in his looks, I didn't realize that he had gotten off the bike, walked up to me, and stretched out his hands toward me. Once I heard him say, "Do you want to ride?" I woke up out of my dream and immediately grabbed his hand and said, "Yes." Yeah, I'm meeting strangers and getting on bikes. What the fuck? Anyhow, wait, let me see. How many pages is this chapter? Because, girl, you know. I mean, it's my book. I should know it, right? Oh, it's a couple of pages, bitch. It's a couple of pages. But anyway, let's get back to it. Looking at old pictures. Oh, wait. Oh, so this is part. See, clouds be clouding because I was like, "What did I move on to another phase?" Yes, this is like years later, April 19, 2014. Looking at old pictures and reminiscing on the life I had with my first love, Jaheim. I realized that I still miss him terribly, though it has been 3 years since his death. Oh, the man died. Yes, I'm reading it along with you. Throughout the years we were together, He supported our lifestyle with legal activities, engaged in with his biker gang brothers. Although I hated what he did, he treated me like a queen, and I loved him to death. So leaving him because of his lifestyle was not even a thought. Meeting Jaheim in 2001, he literally saved me from my life on the streets where anything could have happened to me. Making sure I wanted for nothing, it was easy to become his ride or die. I loved him dearly, therefore I was devoted to him. Due to his lifestyle with his brothers, the condemned few, we traveled all the time throughout the East Coast. It didn't matter what time of the year it was. We were anywhere between Florida and Maine, and always had the best of everything. Child, apparently this girl was living large with this man. Living good and shit. Anyhow, the condemned few is a well known and well feared gang. Nobody, and I do mean absolutely nobody, fucked with them. But still, I hated it. I hated that life. For 10 years, I lived that life. Although I wanted out bad, Jaheim didn't. Every time I brought it up, he would say, even if I wanted to leave my brothers, I couldn't. Leaving the brothers meant death, and there was no coming back from that. The main perk of that life is that I didn't have to work. Jaheim constantly gave me coils of money, counting up to the thousands. I made it my business to save every penny. I figured one day the love of my life would come to his senses and leave that life. However, that thought never crossed my mind for a long time. I thought he would live that life until he was old and gray. Then, in one breath, the man I loved dearly was taken away from me. The condemned few were involved in a legal drag race against another gang called the Dutch Mob. Jaheim was up first. He was to race their top man, Little Freddie. I'm thinking, I'm like, I came up with people names and shit like that. Anyhow, halfway to the finish line, Jaheim lost control of his bike and crashed into a brick wall, killing him instantly. On the sideline, watching his brothers pick him up in an attempt to rush him to the nearest hospital, I was in complete denial that he's gone. My life was completely devastated from that moment forward. I had no one but Jaheim in my life. He was everything to me, and then he was gone. The thought ringing in my head constantly was that I didn't know how to continue to live without him, or where I would go from that point. Immediately, immediately after Jaheim died, the Brotherhood of the Condemned Few kicked me out of the gang. According to them, I was never good enough for their brother. The cool thing about it was that I wasn't given a chance to mourn him properly before I was left on my own on the cold and lonely streets of Yonkers, New York. That was my last stop with the Condemned Few, where the race was held. The amount of pain I felt for losing Jaheim was unbearable. I cried, screamed, and shouted, but I knew I had to wipe my tears away and get myself together. All the crying and screaming in the world wasn't going to bring him back. The best way for me to honor his life was, well, best way for me to honor his life and the love he had for me would be to go on with my life and do great things. He would tell me all the time that he wanted for me to he, that all he wanted for me was to live a good life. See, this is the part, because eventually my mouth starts stuttering and shit, and you know what I mean. And anyhow, I wanted to honor that wholeheartedly. I wanted to live, love, and travel all over the world. That was our plan from the beginning, and my plan is to do just that. Child, me too. I still want to go travel a couple of places before, you know what I'm saying. Anyway, one of his favorite sayings was, "Ride that motherfucker till the wheels fall off." Yes, baby. I'm going to do that. I'm going to do it big for you. Reminiscing on our life together allowed me to get through the bad times. After fighting to the end, after fighting to attend Jaheim's funeral, my first move was to get a small but decent studio apartment. Although the Brotherhood said I wasn't allowed to attend his funeral, I put up a fight that they weren't ready for. I wasn't going to let them stop me from attending the love of my life's funeral. Moving on with my life after the funeral, I moved into a studio apartment in a house on 1 Alexander Street in downtown Yonkers. Child, I remember street names. Left to fend for myself, I decided it was a great place to start my life over. The first time I met the landlord Julio, the first time the landlord Julio saw me, he fell in love with me, hugging me, shaking my hand, and holding on extra long. He became instantly clingy. Although his advances were cute, I never took him seriously. After all, he was a married man with an almost grandfather status. Like he was old, ill. Trust me when I say I was not interested in anything sexual with Julio. Just the thought of it disgusted me. Like for real. I have never been the kind of girl that slept with men for money or to get a couple of dollars knocked off my rent. However, during hard times, I shamelessly used those flirts. I shame. Wait. However, during hard times, I shamelessly used those little flirts Julio threw at me when I was late on my rent. Not long after I signed the lease, I got a job at Louboutin's, a couture store, a couture clothing store on 5th and 53rd Street in Manhattan. Making pretty good money as a sales associate, I worked long hours during the week and every weekend I could, all in the name of saving for the big trip I was planning to take one day. The time Jaheim and I shared together, I learned a lot from him. The most important lessons the most important lesson was learning how to put money away so that I was always able to I was always able to take care of myself in case anything should happen. Paying the rent, furnishing my apartment, and buying enough food to last me until I got a job drastically reduced my savings. In order to get my savings back to a decent number, I meant I had to work an excessive amount of overtime. Although I hated my job, child, that's a line right there. Although I hated my motherfucking job, bitch. I grinned and bared it every day I was there. Louboutins is where all the rich shop. Who don't have anything else better to do with them time other than look down at poor people. It made me sick to my stomach every day to have to kiss up to those uppity motherfuckers all day, every day. Every day I showed up, I wanted to quit so bad it hurt. Not having any job history, I couldn't just up and quit. Louboutin was my first job. I had no other choice but to keep working there at least until I found a better paying, more enjoyable job. Wait a minute, cause girl, my mouth getting dry, so I'm trying to figure out how many more pages I got to go. I mean, I'm saying like I got to go. Like anyway, what page is this? 28, and I'm on page 19. Ooh, so I got a couple of more pages. But anyway, let me keep going till at least 5 o'clock. Well, at least till I finish. Okay, so all right. In the 10 years I was ripping and running with Jaheim, I never thought that not having a job would hurt me. At least not until he was gone. Julio and I had a great relationship. He was always pleasant and trying to get into my pants. However, the other tenants in the house were on shaky grounds. He would have private discussions with me about the other tenants. He would say how they were destroying the property, not paying their rent. Just he just wasn't sure what to do with the place anymore because it wasn't making him any money. Listening to him vent kept me in good light as his favorite tenant, so I had no problems letting him cry on my shoulders. I knew that when he finally decided to kick them out, I would be safe. A month ago, Julio paid me a visit. He wanted to let me know that he was selling the house to the next door neighbor. Julio and I standing outside talking, wait, seeing Julio and I standing outside talking, Beverly decided to come over and come introduce herself. Listening to her talk, I found out she owns her own home and runs a beauty salon out of the basement, so she's always on the property. Whereas Julio had a condo in Co-op City in the Bronx. Although I lived in that house for 3 years, I had never had the pleasure of meeting Beverly. I worked all the time, therefore I assumed there were no problems between there would be no problem. I worked all the time, therefore I assumed there would be no problems between us. If anything, her problems would be the people that lived above me. While speaking to Beverly, I clearly heard Julio say that I was not a problem tenant. I paid my rent on time and took good care of my apartment. He also told her about all the problems he was having with the tenants upstairs. At that point, I knew everything would be cool and things were continuing as I knew it to be. On the nights I knew I would be coming home late, I purposely left the lights on in my apartment. The light would shine bright enough to not only light up the walkway to my apartment, but it also gave me a clear view of the inside of my apartment from the walkway. Seeing the lights on always gave me an assured feeling of safety for the most part. As I walked up to my door late at night, Julio would never bothered me about it, especially since he had no intentions of installing motion lights outside of my door. 2 nights ago, I arrived home about 1 a.m. tired as hell. I found my door unlocked and all the lights off. The entrance to my apartment is in the back of the house, so I was scared to death. Yet alone, I still yet alone, I still walked on. My door being locked and all the lights off sent off all kind of warning signals in my head. I wasn't sure if I should scream, run, or take something sharp out of my purse to defend myself if someone attacked me. I opened my door hesitantly, flicked on the lights fast, and checked my place nervously. Once I realized that everything was okay, I was immediately pissed the fuck off. Now, I'm gonna have to stop right there because that actually happened to me. I put that in this book because that shit actually happened to me. Like, for real, I was tight with that bitch. Like, how you just gonna leave my door open and leave the fucking lights off? The fuck is wrong with you? Like, are you kidding me? That shit was crazy. I knew right then and there who came in and turned off all my lights. Beverly was the only person with keys to me apartment. Ooh, shit. To me apartment. I just realized there's a there's a little typo right here. Anyway, I didn't care about it being late at night. My intention was to call her and get an explanation. Grabbing my phone, I dialed her number quickly. Waiting for her to pick up, she answers on the third ring. Hello, who is this? She says in a groggy voice. This is Jennifer. I just got home from work and I found my door open, my lights off, and I don't understand why. It scared me half to death to walk into a dark house when I know I left all the lights on. Were you here for some reason? If you were, why didn't you leave things the way you found them? Waiting for her response, she retaliates with this reasoning. Yes, I was in your apartment. I'm sorry for leaving your door unlocked. I could have sworn I locked it behind me when I left, but I guess I didn't. I initially went in to turn all the lights. I didn't see any reason for them to be on, and I must have forgotten to lock the door behind me. If you're not going to be home, please make sure to turn them off before you leave. You don't pay the light bill, and your rent is definitely doesn't cover the light bill if it gets too high, so please make sure and turn them off when you leave. Child, I ain't give a fuck about none of that bullshit. I'm gonna tell you that right now. Her retort was full of aggravation, attitude, and it's not welcomed by me at all. If she was in front of me talking to me in this matter, I would have punched her dead in her face. However, when it was my turn to respond, I automatically gave it back to her hard with no chaser. First of all, Beverly. Okay. First of all, Beverly, I need you not to speak to me in that tone. Second, I leave the lights on because I come home late at night. As you can see, since you like to come over here, there are no lights by my entrance. And as a single woman, I need to be able to see what's going on around me. Now, you wouldn't want me to get mugged or raped, would you? See, Julio understood that. And that's why we never had any problems about the lights. All I want to do is get in my apartment safely. Now, if you want to be a good and productive landlady, you would put motion sensors lights throughout the back walkway and above the door. Then you wouldn't have to worry about me leaving the lights on to feel safe at night. Instead of worrying about my lights being on, you need to concentrate on this dark ass hallway. Now, what about that? Anyhow, I let her have it, and I don't feel bad about any of it. However, she wasn't going to let that be it. She had to say what she had to say. Well, guess what? I'm not Julio. And if this is such a big deal to you, why didn't you ask him to put up motion lights for you? She obviously didn't give a fuck about anything I had to say to her. Excuse me, did you not hear what I just said? Or is your head so far up your ass that you can't hear when other people talk? Okay, I just said if you were listening that he allowed me to leave the lights on so he wouldn't have to spend money he don't have on motion lights, stupid. If you don't want me to keep my lights on, then I would suggest you put some fucking motion lights on, bitch. I didn't want to, but she made me go the fuck off. Bitch, who the fuck who are you calling a bitch? Those are the fucking rules to live in my on my property, and if you don't like it, you can move the fuck out. As a matter of fact, you have 1 month to move out, or I will physically put you out. Who's the bitch now? She says as she hangs up the phone. You know what, bitch? I'll do that. I scream into the deadline. She may not have heard me, but I felt the need to say it anyways. Hanging up the phone in such a fury, I almost broke it. My mind automatically starts clicking, and decisions were being made by the second. Calculating up my savings, there was about 2,500 in my savings account. For the next 4 weeks, if I put all my checks together, I would have enough to pay my new place and all the moving expenses. I had no intentions of staying longer than a month or going through some long, drawn out rent case with her stupid ass. A month was enough time for me to get my money together and move out. Fuck Beverly. Once I thought out every detail with what needed to be done, I went to bed feeling assured. The unknowing wrench in my plan happened when I showed up for work the next day. 10 minutes after clocking in, my manager called me into the office. Jennifer, we've decided to let you go. In 2 weeks, you can pick up your last check along with what we owe you for your vacation pay. I'm sorry that we have to do this. Like I said before, I hated this fucking job. The amount of ass kissing I had to do on a daily basis killed me, but what but I did what I had to do for a paycheck. It's funny how when I needed my job the most, they decided to fire me. Then I was again at a critical moment in my life. I'm looking for answers, but no one is there but me. My thoughts immediately run to Jaheim, and the thought of him not being there to save me stung the hardest. Walking out of her office in a huff, I headed for the train station. Trying to regroup on my way home, I grabbed a newspaper from a platform newsstand While waiting for the train, I started to open the newspaper in order to check out the job section, but then I decided to wait until I got home. The last thing I needed was for onlookers to see me checking out the job section. Arriving home, my mind was still clicking. I reminded myself again what I had in my savings, knowing that my last check was going to add up to another 2,500. I knew I would be straight to move. However, on realistic terms, I had 2 weeks to look for a normal, high-paying job. If that didn't pan out, my next move was to start hitting up lower-paying jobs. Popping on my bed, peruse the job section. I make notes of jobs I want to apply for, taking notes of contact informations and emails. I noticed an ad that immediately intrigued me. Looking for that one voice. Is that you? David Lowe of Newhouse Publishing is looking for a narrator for his nationally best-selling novel, You Just Don't Know. The erotic thriller will be turned into an audiobook, and Newhouse Publishing will pay top dollar to that one special voice. Will it be you? Will it be you? No experience required. Please call, and I actually put a phone number here, 201-833. Child, I put a phone number. Right away, I asked myself, what is a narrator? A narrator is someone who is recorded while reading a book out loud. Therefore, making an audio version of the book in a studio, sort of like a singer or a rapper. Reading the ad made me wonder if I was qualified enough to do this. My thoughts raced around the ad. I never seen a job ad like that before, and it damn sure had my curiosity lit up. Studying the ad for even further, I reminded myself it said no experience required. Based on the fact that I had no real job experience, there was no reason why I couldn't apply for the position. The least I could do is look into it and see what happens. I gave I gave more thought to as to why I should apply for the job in particular. It did say yes. It did say that the pay was top dollar, and since I gave myself 2 weeks to look for a high paying job, I definitely had time to find out what top dollar meant. The quiet level of the house makes it a perfect time to make phone calls. I dialed the number as it rang in my ear. I prepared myself for the cued message. Instead, I got something. Instead, I got something much more tantalizing. That is chapter motherfucking one. And I got to tell you, that shit was hard for me to read because my mouth is dry and I don't know if it even came out. And then I found a motherfucking typo in my own book. Shit. Fuck. Anywho, let me know what you think. I'm definitely posting this on my channel. Like and subscribe. And let me get ready for a recording of Motherhood Sex Marijuana today. Peace.